Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I saw the new film, The Naked Gun, and now I want to tell you about it. It's an absurdist comedy about Detective Frank Draben investigating a bank robbery. The story was written by Akiva Schaffer, Doug Mand, and Dan Greger. The film was directed by Schaffer and stars Liam Neeson, Pamela Anderson, and Danny Huston. As always, we begin with a description. The Naked Gun is a parody of old 80s crime detective movies. It follows a detective as he works a robbery case, which ends up spiraling out into a much bigger story. The writing comes with an absurdist aspect, which means that anything can happen at any time. The writers take full advantage of the format to deliver an insane tale with bits of romance, action, and a metric ton of comedy. There's puns, double entendres, physical humor, visual gags, shocking imagery, and just about any other form of comedy you can imagine. They even work it into the action sequences to create hilarious moments like Frank sliding between 10 men's legs while punching each of them in the balls. Cast-wise, there's two main roles, a couple of supporting roles, and a lot of extras. It's spoofing a crime drama, so most of them are playing cops or people of interest in the case. The extras tend to be there just for comedic moments. They make a joke, say a funny line, or do something comical in the background and then disappear. The supporting cast do get a larger share of the humor, but also get to participate in exposition dumping. For leads, you have Frank Draben Jr., played by Liam Neeson, Beth Davenport, played by Pamela Anderson, and Richard Kane, played by Danny Huston. Frank Draben Jr. is the son of a famous cop. He's also a cowboy who acts recklessly while constantly breaking the law. He gets the job done, but not without drinking 15 cups of coffee and hitting 3 pedestrians with his car first. Beth Davenport is the sister of one of the victims and a reporter. She enters the story to ensure that her brother sees justice but ends up falling for the virile Frank. Beth is an exuberant scat singer and a tenacious investigator. Richard Kane is a mysterious billionaire that seems to be involved with every aspect of the case. He's super rich, good at entertaining people, and very friendly on the surface. Underneath the veneer, he's a stuck-up ass who's never lifted a finger in his life. Visually, the story is like watching an old-fashioned crime drama with a lot of hyper-absurdist comedy slotted in. Things like Liam Neeson jumping out of a little girl costume to arrest the bad guys, or people handing him coffee during impossible scenarios. For the crime drama part, they dress everyone like old-school cops and set up a bunch of places for them to go investigate. Along the way, they've got visual gags, little action sequences, and even a montage weekend getaway to help spice things up. Sound-wise, the film employs original songs, instrumentals, and even makes a track or two of their own in the process. The music comes in to accompany the story and fill out all the emotional beats. It brings tension, adds sadness and joy, and even takes part in the comedy. At times through great timing, and sometimes more directly, like when Pamela Anderson gets on stage and starts doing a jazz scat performance for a live audience. Which brings me to my review. The story is absurd, but tightly written. They present a simple case, and then play with the journey to create the comedy. There's a solid story underneath that's explained well and makes sense. It's not the most original, but it works well as a base to jump off of. They create solid comedic characters that you can root for while laughing at, and they manage to tell an interesting story at the same time. The story is also incredibly exciting. The humor comes at you non-stop, the pacing moves quickly, and they even have a few different flavors like action and romance to mix things up. If you aren't into the absurdist comedy, it might be a little bit one note, but that note is beautiful and it deserves praise. Cast-wise, there's a lot of great comedic performances, but nothing all that multifaceted. What I mean to say is that everyone is playing a stereotype and they do a fantastic job making you laugh. They just don't appear like real people. There's no quiet or slow moments where they act normally. They're always in comedy mode, which is great for making the humor work, but the film does have other sections and they don't hit quite as hard because of the film's inability to switch gears at all. Like Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson actually showed off some decent chemistry in this film. They could have made a romance storyline work, but the film doesn't ever get serious enough with them. They're just a comedy couple that you have fun with. Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson are the stars of the show. Both of them do a fantastic job with the comedic aspects of their roles. Both were willing to embarrass themselves to an insane degree. Neeson by dressing up in ridiculous outfits and acting like a total buffoon, and Anderson by performing nonsense on stage and hamming up her femme fatale character. Visually, the film looks fantastic. The regular shots look great, come with interesting locations, and a lot of background humor that's been excellently snuck in. They also do a great job making the characters look sharp, and they tell the story in a clear and precise manner. For big standout shots, you have all kinds of hilarious visual gags, amazing action sequences, and even a funny mini-story in the second half of the film. They use a lot of practical effects as well as a few digital ones and create top-of-the-line visuals that will have you roaring. My favorite was the fight scene where he's throwing the magazines at people instead of shooting them with the gun. It's so stupid, and yet so tightly choreographed. Like the best polished turd you've ever seen. Sound-wise, they do an incredible job. They managed to draw out extreme amounts of emotion from the story despite it being a comedic film, and did it without interfering with the dialogue. There are even several points in the movie where the music straight up takes over the scene and becomes the driving force in what's happening. It's a big part of the film and it adds a lot of flavor. Personally, I loved this film. After a few stinkers in a row, it was not only like a palate cleanser, it was just a funny film. I laughed from start to finish and never once got bored. They also did a great job working in references to the original without being too on the nose with their nostalgia bait. I thoroughly recommend this film to anyone with a sense of humor. As for a rating, I give this film an 8 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye!